Breaking news, Carlos Alcaraz has withdrawn from the Barcelona Open. Let's take you to his news conference.
Time out at the end of the first set, and it was a little bit of a problem. He doesn't have to play tomorrow, but let's have a listen to what he said in the press about the injury. So good news that he's not playing tomorrow because he can get ready for the match in a couple of days' time.
Sunday.
A tumultuous 72-hour period has profoundly impacted Carlos Alcaraz's 2026 clay season, potentially marking the critical turning point that tennis analysts feared since his 2024 forearm setback, which sidelined him from Monte Carlo, Barcelona, and Rome. On Sunday, Alcaraz lost the Monte Carlo final to Sinner, costing him his world #1 ranking. Just 2 days later, during his inaugural match in Barcelona, a wrist issue flared up mid-return, necessitating immediate physio intervention. By Wednesday, medical scans confirmed a more severe injury than anticipated, leading to his withdrawal from the tournament. This rapid sequence of events, spanning just 3 days, has prompted experts to voice serious concerns extending beyond a single tournament withdrawal. Alcaraz's participation in the upcoming Madrid Open, starting April 22nd, is now uncertain, with the Italian Open and then Roland Garros, where he is a back-to-back champion, following in May. This marks his 5th consecutive clay season disrupted by injury, a recurring pattern of brutal outcomes.
He withdraws. The injury is confirmed as more serious than expected.
It's, I trying to catch one serve. I could say it didn't affect me too much, to be honest, because I could run well, I could go to the balls well.
To truly grasp the situation, one must delve into the injury's anatomical specifics, often overlooked in surface-level reports. The right wrist of an elite tennis player is far from a simple joint. It's the culmination point of a kinetic chain beginning at the feet and transferring force through the entire body before ball contact. Every forehand Alcaraz strikes forces his wrist into extreme ulnar deviation, a sharp bend towards the little finger at impact. The extensor carpi ulnaris ecu tendon, directly situated in this high-stress zone, is a common injury site for professionals utilizing heavy topspin forehands, a fact supported by peer-reviewed sports medicine research. Alcaraz's semi-western grip, while central to his devastating topspin forehand, a weapon contributing to his 84% clay court win rate, third only to Borg and Nadal in the Open era among ATP #1s, also elevates the risk to this ulnar side of the wrist. The immense structural load from hundreds of high-intensity forehands per match is absorbed directly by the ECU tendon. When this structure is overloaded without sufficient recovery, pain manifests sharply and suddenly upon contact, a distinct signal of acute stress on a fatigued tissue rather than mere muscle soreness. The timing of this injury was highly predictable, particularly due to Alcaraz's difficult surface transition. Monte Carlo's slower, heavier clay courts demand greater physical exertion, while Barcelona's marginally faster surface requires adjusted timing and swing paths. Transitioning between these distinct clay types without rest days forced his forehand mechanics to recalibrate under competitive pressure, rather than in a controlled practice setting. His first competitive forehand on Barcelona clay was not a gentle warm-up, but a first-round match against a qualifier, compounded by 6 matches of accumulated fatigue. This scenario is a textbook setup for an acute stress injury. What is truly alarming is that Alcaraz himself publicly expressed pre-tournament apprehension, stating he was praying his body would endure the clay schedule and would skip events if necessary to recover better than last year. Yet he entered Barcelona just 48 hours after the Monte Carlo final. His own intuition was overridden by scheduling, and the injury manifested within 24 hours of his match. A predictable consequence, not a fluke.
Now those same experts are finally stepping forward to explain exactly what is happening.
The Barcelona final against Holger Rune, Carlos Alcaraz took a medical timeout to address some pain he was having in his hamstring.
The recent coaching change further contextualizes these events. Juan Carlos Ferrero, who guided Alcaraz for 7 years, possessed a deep understanding of his physical thresholds and how to prioritize the French Open. Ferrero's departure in December 2025 over a contractual dispute saw former assistant Samuel Lopez take the helm. While Lopez has strong credentials and an existing rapport, the distinct physical demands of hard courts versus clay, highlighted by the Australian Open title under Lopez, are crucial. The decision to play Barcelona 48 hours after a Masters 1000 final, with existing risk discomfort, is a judgment Ferrero's accumulated knowledge would likely have questioned far more rigorously, leaving Lopez's data-driven confidence as an open question.
And what they are saying is raising serious concerns that go far beyond one tournament withdrawal.
In the left Harmon, I didn't think that it wasn't that serious. Roland Garros for me, so I will try to be on court as soon as possible.
Comparing Alcaraz's current state to Sinner's 2026 trajectory reveals a stark, uncomfortable contrast. Sinner arrived in Monte Carlo having achieved the Sunshine Double without dropping a set, then won Monte Carlo flawlessly, boasting a 24-2 match record and 4 consecutive Masters 1000 titles, putting him 390 ranking points ahead of Alcaraz. Crucially, Sinner is reportedly skipping Barcelona and likely Madrid, prioritizing targeted recovery and preparation for Roland Garros, his primary seasonal objective to complete the career Grand Slam on clay. He will arrive in Paris rested, with match preparation consolidated into Rome and a ranking lead that Alcaraz has virtually no chance of overcoming before the French Open. While Sinner manages his schedule for optimal health in Paris, Alcaraz has withdrawn from a tournament he arguably should have skipped, is nursing a medically confirmed serious wrist injury, faces Madrid in 6 days, and is now making decisions under ranking pressure rather than physical readiness. Experts are gravely concerned that this pattern, Sinner consolidating dominance while Alcaraz repeatedly undermines his clay season through scheduling, is becoming structural, not circumstantial.
It's serious. Last year he was dealing with the arm injury, right? Couldn't hit the forehand, so he wasn't able to play for much of the clay season.
Starting with something the surface level.
The significance of Roland Garros 2026 amplifies these issues exponentially. This isn't merely a standard title defense. Alcaraz famously won the French Open in 2024 after missing 3 clay events due to a forearm issue, arriving without competitive sharpness but with a rested body and winning regardless. In 2025, he defended the title from 2 sets down in the longest final in history, an epic described as one of the greatest Grand Slam finals. He enters 2026, if fit, as a 2-time defending champion who just completed the career Grand Slam in January, the youngest male player ever to do so. The weight of expectation is unprecedented. Every match at Roland Garros will carry the question of whether he can become the first man in the Open era since Bjorn Borg to win 3 consecutive French Open titles. This immense psychological pressure does not heal wrists or add recovery days. Instead, it pushes players to compete prematurely, prioritizing short-term prestige and narrative over biological recovery.
In professional tennis players who use heavy topspin forehand techniques.
He's healthy again. Does he have the legs and the stamina to stay in there and make the right decisions, or is he forced to make compromised choices?
Here is where the anatomy becomes.
The decision regarding the Madrid Open is now the most critical medical choice of Alcaraz's 2026 season. With only 6 days until the tournament, and sports medicine typically recommending 10-14 days of rest for ECU soft tissue injuries before full competitive intensity, 6 days is insufficient. The most realistic, Paris protective scenario is a Madrid withdrawal, leaving Rome as his sole significant clay preparation. One Masters 1000 event, potentially 3 to 7 matches, before a Grand Slam defense fraught with historical pressure. This mirrors his 2024 path to winning the French Open, raising the question of whether that was a repeatable blueprint or a fortunate exception. The crucial difference is that in 2024, his injury was identified * before * competitive matches. This time, he has already played a full match on an injured wrist, absorbing forehand load under pressure, worsening his structural starting point for recovery. With no more time available and Sinner arriving in Paris with full clay season rhythm, the challenge will be sharper than ever.
Before any competitive matches were played on it.
Good news with an arm injury is you can do all the other physical training. You can do the running, you can do the weights, lower bodies, you can keep your endurance. My concern, Coco, is he going to be able to keep up the endurance work?
The wider conversation among experts now openly addresses the ATP calendar's impact on players like Alcaraz. The expansion of Madrid and Rome to 12-day events in recent years has intensified competitive volume within an already congested 5-week Monte Carlo to Roland Garros window. For a player whose explosive lateral movement, extreme topspin, and high-velocity forehand, all directly stressing the ECU tendon, are central to his game. Playing every event at full intensity through this period is genuinely incompatible with arriving at Roland Garros physically intact. 5 consecutive clay seasons with 5 consecutive physical disruptions is not merely bad luck. It is a biological argument against the current scheduling philosophy. The profound irony is that Barcelona, the tournament Alcaraz clearly cherishes most outside Roland Garros, where he has won titles and formed deep crowd connections, is statistically his most dangerous week. Not Madrid with its altitude, nor Rome with its long draws, but the ATP 500 event sandwiched between 2 Masters 1000s with virtually no recovery space. In 2024, skipping Barcelona led to a Roland Garros victory. In 2025, playing it led to an adductor injury and missing Madrid. In 2026, one match led to a wrist injury. The tournament itself isn't the problem, its position in the schedule is. Until Alcaraz and his team treat Barcelona as optional, this pattern will persist into 2027. The next meaningful signal will emerge within days. A Madrid withdrawal, which medical and scheduling evidence strongly supports as the correct call, would shift the narrative towards full recovery and a Rome to Paris pathway. If he enters Madrid and his wrist holds up without visible compensation in his forehand mechanics, the injury may be less severe than currently assessed. Watch his first forehand under competitive pressure. Heavy topspin and a complete swing indicate recovery. A flatter stroke, conservative swing path, and less ball rotation suggest management rather than healing. At this elite level, opponents immediately identify such adjustments, turning the forehand from a weapon into a liability and entirely altering the match's strategic reality. Djokovic further complicates the landscape. The three-time Madrid champion is returning to the ATP Tour there after months away. Even at 38, Djokovic on clay with weeks of preparation is a formidable force. A three-time Roland Garros champion, he has consistently shown that clay elevates his movement and defensive capabilities, making him dangerous regardless of match sharpness. Every day between now and Roland Garros, beginning May 24th, carries immense weight. Consider the current ranking arithmetic working against Alcaraz. He must defend 3,000 points across Rome and Roland Garros, 1,000 for last year's Italian Open title, 2,000 for his French Open crown. Sinner, who lost both those finals in 2025, defends only 1,950 from the same two events. This gap suggests that even if they achieve identical results moving forward, Sinner will likely overtake him before Paris concludes. This concrete mathematical pressure is pushing Alcaraz to compete in Madrid before his wrist is ready, to take physical risks a healthy player wouldn't, and to enter matches already at a disadvantage. Alcaraz himself acknowledged pre-Monte Carlo that losing the world #1 ranking during the clay swing was inevitable. Regardless of his performance, admitting it would be nearly impossible to defend the points from his 22-1 clay season in 2025. He was correct. He's now 390 points behind, has lost Barcelona points, and faces losing Madrid points if he cannot recover. The ranking pressure didn't cause the injury, but it profoundly influences every recovery decision, creating a volatile combination that could turn a manageable injury into a catastrophic one. Experts aren't just watching Alcaraz struggle. They're observing an escalation that could have been avoided, hence the gravity of their concerns and why this story is far from over. For all developments, Madrid decisions, practice footage, Rome draw, Roland Garros build-up, subscribe and hit the notification bell for the complete, unsanitized picture and context often missed by mainstream coverage, understanding what's truly happening at the sport's pinnacle. If you've been following, you'll know this scheduling problem was predicted before Barcelona even started. Share your thoughts in the comments on whether Alcaraz should play Madrid or shut it down.